Any kind of political factor, whether it is favoring the company or it's going against, will have an impact on the whole system. In democratic system, what you believe that you have to give the space to that respective organization, to the respective people altogether. More the ethical, more the transparent the government is, more they are able to free themselves and talk in terms of the business environment. Automatically, every country will be interested to develop business with them. Good morning and welcome to the third session of Unit 4 in Business Environment, and here we are going to speak about the international political environment. Now this is a very important concept. Why? Because most of the nations today always wish to have a stable government, which is going to be a blessing for most of the business to run their organizations in a very smooth manner. So let's go forward and try to understand what is this political environment all about. Now, the political environment means that it is of the company, includes the nation as well as the international political factor that can affect its operations. Now, recently there was a news stating that there is a second wave of pandemic erupting all over. Moment that kind of information starts pouring in, automatically the service sector, especially related to travel and tourism, will take a beating. Automatically, all the airlines would stop their business and they would not be in a position to continue their operations. Now, what is the impact that's happening? Because certain countries, though it is a common factor, but the political stand that is being taken up by countries differ. Certain people look at the current situation as a factor that will just pass away. Okay, the pandemics are happening, but it doesn't need to worry because you will get a vaccine and things will get over. So certain countries are flexible, certain governments are flexible in taking their stand. But then there are certain governments which want to have a severe impact. They want to bring in a lockdown. They want to clamp down all the operations. They want to again go back and put a stop to the business operations. So what is happening is that for a company where they are trying to operate, that matters a lot. If they are operating in UK, are they operating in US, are they operating in America, wherever they are operating, the political environment that it's governing that particular location, that's governing that particular place, matters a lot to them. So that's why I would always say that the political environment has got a greater impact into the society. That has got a huge impact in terms of assessing the volumes of operation. Followed by, these factors are political because they principally emanate from the actions of the government, which can be at local or at the foreign level. So one decision that is being taken by the government can have a far-reaching impact to many of the places across. Now, most of you might be knowing about the Brexit that has been going on for almost a year plus now. Now, the Brexit is nothing but where Britain wants to exit from the Euro association altogether, from the Euro context altogether. Now, there has been several speculations about it where the people have tried to contest about the factor whether they want to be a part of the European Commission or they want to go out of the European Commission. All these questions have been severely impacting the growth and the business environment of UK. So any company which has established its office in London, which have its office in any part of UK, has got an impact because of the Brexit that has been constantly threatening them, that has been constantly putting them into a tight situation. So what is happening these days is that people are asking the question again and again, what is going to be the impact of this particular Brexit? What is going to be the impact of the foreign currency valuation? What is going to be the impact of an aid coming into picture or the country getting separated and moving further? So why I bring this context is that any kind of political factor, whether it is favoring the company or it's going against, will have an impact on the whole system. Now, this category will also include the methods of thinking and beliefs of all nature, which is in turn the favor of the behavior of government, the citizens opposing the company without directly emanating from them. Now, let's try to understand the kind of factors like nationalism, if I'm going to talk about, or if I'm going to talk about communism, all these kind of factors where I'm trying to bring in some, the theory of the political flavor altogether will have an impact on the governmental operations. So when you talk about China, the flavor of communism is very much inbuilt in them. When you talk about North Korea, the flavor of dictatorship is very much built in them. When you talk about India, the flavor of democracy is very much inbuilt in them. So what happens is that based on the political system of the country, the companies will also show interest whether they want to invest or they want to go against it. So that is where this entire factor comes into picture. The second factor that comes here is that the governmental measures that can directly affect the nature of the company, the exportation aids which are coming into picture, the financial aids to the SMEs that are coming into factor, the export subsidiaries, the pre-shipment credit facilities, duty drawback, the embargo sanctions, exhibiting of prohibited goods catalogs and products, all those factors. Now, why do we talk about these factors altogether is that when you start exporting goods from one country to another country, there is a question mark that is looking at you. There is a factor that is looking at you. And what is that factor? What is that interesting thing that you are trying to look upon, that you are trying to understand here all about? Is how is the nation trying to put in sanctions against you or trying to put in a revocation against you? Recently, India tied up with a lot of governmental factors with Vietnam. India also recently tied up with the government of Japan in terms of promoting the bullet train project. India has recently gone up and tied up with new defense ties with Israel also. So when you start looking at these kind of news, what is happening is that the strategic tie-up between the government is making the system to open up, is making the business to get newer opportunities and avenue that will make the system to move forward in terms of growth, in terms of opportunity altogether. So what is the most interesting part here? What is the most enticing part of the entire scenario is that we are trying to see an economic scenario. We are trying to see an economic factor of growth altogether. We are trying to see that the business is building somewhere and it is moving forward altogether. So that's why I would always say that, when you get an opportunity in terms of growth, in terms of development, in terms of activities altogether, the political environment should come hand in glove. They should be in a position to promote the business, to make us understand how business can be further developed. So automatically, when you're getting that financial aids, when you're getting the support, when you're getting the cooperation from various nations, from the various associations altogether, business becomes even more exciting in those locations. Followed by the understanding of political environment. Today, if you look into the political environment, the risk factor that is involved. So as a good manager, you need to understand the dimensions of the country towards which is expecting to export on the subject of working, the familiar environment where it can perceive change. So this is where I would definitely say that, you need to look forward in terms of accepting the change factors that are coming in. The first thing is the political ideology. The second thing is the ways of thinking and belief. The third thing I would call as the general economic health. The fourth thing is the attitude towards corruption. The fifth one, the respect for private foreign property, respect for elation to that of the intellectual work ownership. Companies generally prefer to work in countries where the government is stable and friendly. Now, this is where, as a good manager in terms of business, you need to understand what is the ideology under which you are working. What is the ways of thinking and belief that starts coming inside you? What are all the general economic health condition of the country? Is it good? Is it stronger economy? Is it a stable economy? Is it a growth-oriented economy? Is it the one which can take up changes as they are coming forward? What is the attitude towards corruption altogether? What is the respect they have for the foreign property that is coming inside? And what is it in respect to the elation of intellectual ownership altogether? Now, when you start understanding this dynamics very, very clearly, you will be able to understand the factor that in a long run, what has happened here is that companies have gone forward, companies have understood the phenomenon, companies have understood the growth factor, and that's why they have been able to move further altogether in aspect. Now, this is very, very important for each one of us to understand at this given level. Because politically, if you're not stable, politically, if you're not friendly towards the business, politically, you are not showing any kind of affliction, any kind of affinition towards any business development, then automatically that business will fall down. The companies will start fearing to enter that hemisphere altogether. Now, the political ideologies. Now, if you start looking into the ideologies, there are two kinds. One is a democracy and the other one is the totalism, which where I'm going to talk about the totalism altogether, the impact of political regimes that are going to happen across in various factors. In democratic system, what you believe that you have to give the space to that respective organization, to the respective people altogether, and the change and implications are very much acceptable. It's a flexible system altogether. But in the totalitarian kind of government, what is happening is somewhere down the line, the flavor of complete domination comes into picture. The flavor of pressure comes into picture. People do not want to give in to that business so easily. They believe that somewhere down the lane, the thought process of the governments are so strong, they believe that they will not just give in at all. So somewhere we need to understand that the more the country is democratic, that means the opportunity for business growth is also stronger. You will be able to do business as per your needs, as per your requirements, but you will never be able to do business in a totality where the environment is composing. It's very, very, compressed kind of thing, wherever it is trying to put a pressure on your business cycle altogether. So that's why people look for free economies. In just to give you an example here, when you look into the city of Dubai, which got transformed into such a big business destination hub altogether, they understood the concept of free economy very long. They always wanted to see Dubai as a country which was able to grow further with the help of a lot of people joining hands together, building that free economy cycle altogether. So that's why I would say the growth of this economy is very, very important. Now, the political system where every country hopes to maintain national sovereignty, many countries ensure that the national security should be provided, foreign firms should not be a threat to their local government, foreign firms should be allowed to grow, they should be given the respect, they should be given the proper potential ideologies and platforms altogether, they should be given all kinds of benefit, plus through their industry there is a development of sentiment of prestige. Many countries often look at the national associations and not avoid them by being bought out by industrial groups. The destination country often requires a lot of ethical respect and ethical build altogether so that they are able to grow. In terms of, let's understand the factors of corruption or getting into any kind of negative practices will definitely have a moral impact on the country. So that's why we always say that the business ethics should be followed. More the ethics ethical, more the transparent the government is, more they are able to free themselves and talk in terms of the business environment, automatically every country will be interested to develop business with them. So you need to understand that the political system has to be free from all kind of negative effect that can actually impact the business. Now, what are the questions and scope of a political system? What is the scope of corruption across border? What is the kind of administration that you start seeing? See, for example, when India wanted to move up the ranks of doing business, the ease of doing business, the question that came into the mind of most of the multinational corporation is all about the caste, creed, religion, the corruption and other factors of government that was actually causing an hindrance. But in the present government, with a single window clearance system, with the lesser amount of documentation, with a lesser amount of corruption coming into picture, definitely the companies have started understanding the government of India in a better manner altogether. Now they feel that the government has opened the doors, the government has become much more a free economy, trying to give the space to the companies to do whatever they want. So what is happening in the political system of India is that today you are getting an independence, you are getting the freedom to do what you want to do. So that's where this becomes very, very important. With this, I would like to conclude this session, and I hope and believe that the session was highly informative, useful, and of a great resource to you. In the upcoming sessions, we are going to talk about the World Trade Organization, the World Bank, and the International Monetary Fund, the three big pillars who actually help to build up this global business environment. Because all these three institutions put together will bring in a very great change to the dynamics of business. But until then, stay tuned, stay blessed, and stay enlightened forever. Thank you once again for joining me on this wonderful session today.